These are stories about my reluctant and courageous journey into understanding my emotions and what I learned. I'm also super grateful for the questions you guys ask because they are guiding me on this fantastic adventure. This week's topic comes from Sabrina, who wanted to know how to transform feelings of rejection into feelings of acceptance, which means this week's topic, as you guessed it, is how to transform feelings from rejection into feelings of acceptance. In this particular video, I'm going to focus on a time when I felt rejected and how I got through it. In the next video, I'll focus on a time I felt rejected and started looking for acceptance. And then I'll talk about a time where I felt accepted or I found acceptance. In the next video, we'll meditate, and then you'll get to watch the Fridity or the Friday Ditty, where I wrap it all up and I get a little poetic and a little nerdy and, yeah, tell you what I learned. All these videos will appear in the playlist, How to Transform Your Feelings of Rejection into Feelings of Acceptance. So if you have a question like Sabrina did, comment below or DM me on Instagram. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. The question I'm starting with today is, when you felt rejected, what was it like? But I think we have to go back to that time and talk about what it was like. Because there was the feeling of rejection. Like, I can talk about what the feeling of rejection was like it was this doesn't feel good, and then all the thoughts that went with it of I'm worthless and I'm icky. But in the particular time that I'm thinking of, it was the rejection happened, and it wasn't even the intention of the person that rejected me to hurt me, or they were protecting themselves, but in protecting themselves, they rejected me. And what that meant is they left, and I took it as I'm not valuable, and they left at a time when I was still fairly new as a single parent, and my disability had recently come on, like it hadn't even been a year, and they were basically saying, yeah, no, I gotta go. And what it felt like was I wasn't good enough and I wasn't valuable enough, and here I was in this situation where I could not do or perform, and they're rejecting me. Like the core of who I was that's what felt like that part of me was rejected. And I'm trying to think if I could even be more descriptive in what happened. And maybe that will happen as I tell you how I got through it. And there was a lot of crying, a lot of wondering. Actually, the hard part was I kept wondering, well, what if my disability wasn't here? Would they have stayed? Am I not valuable because my hands don't work anymore? How come they rejected me? Is it, all those stories kept going through my mind, and it wasn't until much later that I figured out that it wasn't about me, that them leaving was about what was happening inside of them. And in those moments, though, there's no way to know, when that feeling of rejection comes up, you don't know why the other person is rejecting you or saying no to you or not right now. It has everything to do with them. But even getting to that point where I could think that, because I want to say that rejection and acceptance are a lot like what I was going through with my pain journey. I remember saying to a pain psychologist something like, I get logically why, what is happening inside of me. I don't get it emotionally. It's almost like you have to go through these steps in the emotional process to get to the other side. Like, there's a spectrum of rejection, but where does rejection end and acceptance begin? Like, I don't know. So to get through it, I did a lot of crying, and I did a lot of wondering and a lot of storytelling. I did a lot. What else did I do? I think I tried to find acceptance. I know I did. I found acceptance in other places. And in fact, that's right around the same time I met one of my best friends in the whole wide world that I love dearly. And what I didn't know is that she was going through her own struggle at the same time. So in our own sense of rejection, maybe even of ourselves, because I would have to say at that same time, I was mad at my body. Why couldn't I fix this? How come I can't make this better? And in a sense, I was rejecting myself too. And I think that's the deeper part of it. Like, I would love to say it was about all the people around me who didn't, blame them for rejecting me. But if someone left before and I accepted, and I had been in a mindset of accepting myself as I was, then perhaps it would have just been they're leaving and moving and doing all these great things because that's what they're doing. But I had this belief that it was because I wasn't valuable in this story. And I think it's because on the inside, and I suppose that's the surprising part, that's probably why I was a little reluctant to do this topic and this video today. It was really hard to sit down and record it because I don't think that I realized until I said it that it was me rejecting me. And if I didn't have that story, then I would have told the other story differently, right? So it depends on what I'm holding inside of me at that moment. And I was super tender in those moments because, I, again, newly single, newly disabled, lost my job. So all these signs were leading me down this road, or at least that's what I was noticing, right? Like, I wasn't noticing where people were accepting me in those moments. What I was noticing is where they were rejecting me and where I didn't feel like I was accepted or included. So I think that getting through those feelings is, like, I didn't realize it in the moment, but it was just continuing to take that next step and go, okay, I know something better has to come. It's almost like holding on to hope while feeling like crap, knowing that it's going to get better. And I don't think in those moments I really knew that it would feel better. And, how has changing that perspective helped me? Like, I would love to say that now, should something similar to that happen, that I wouldn't have those feelings of rejection. And at the same time, I know that's not true. Those feelings of rejection tell me that the people that I am looking to accept me, when they don't, that hurts, because I think that I need them to accept me, to find value in myself. And in some ways that's true in this world, especially as someone with a disability, when it comes to work or jobs and things like that. I need those people to accept me, and many times they don't see beyond the disability. But there was this great quote that went something like this, like, all that has been created is diversity, excuse me, or something like that, like something to the effect of, we're all different, and that's all that was ever created anyway. So why don't we embrace it more? I don't know the answer to that question. It might have to do with this idea that we need to predict the next step or the next thing, and what that means is we need, like, this is what's happening in our brains. We need all those things to be normal, or what we think is normal, even though normal never really existed. So yeah, there's a lot to ponder on this one. I would love to hear from you. When was a time that you felt accepted? Or if you're brave enough to talk about rejection and shifting into acceptance, I would love to hear that story too. These videos are going to be located in the How to Transform Your Feelings of Rejection into Feelings of Acceptance. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.